Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. Look, today we're having a real quick look at a 2-sensor wireless thermometer setup that I've just recently purchased for the caravan. See that there behind me? I've actually been using this for the previous weekend that I've just been away. For those that follow the channel, you know that I've just recently installed a compressor fridge into the caravan in place of the 3-way fridge. Not knowing the history of the compressor fridge, as it was picked up second hand, I wanted to get something so I could actually monitor the temperature in the fridge and the freezer itself, just to know that it was working and just keep an eye on it for that first initial period. I did do a previous review on a single sensor wireless setup, very similar to this one that I picked up from J-Car. A number of the guys got one from work. We actually ended up with 4 units all up. Unfortunately, my unit decided it didn't want to work anymore, so that went into the bin. The good news is that all of the other units that all the other guys bought are still working, so that's the good news there. So I jumped on eBay, had a quick look around. I needed it fairly quickly, so I went with an Aussie seller who's located, I think, in Sydney, or it might be Victoria there, and he's got 100% feedback. So I'll put a link down in the description to where I actually got this. Very impressed, had it within about a week. I think he's only got around about 150 odd sales there, but for 100% feedback, I thought I'd give him a crack and was real happy. Turned up nice and quick, and it was as explained. Now, of course, you can get these cheaper from China on the slow boat. If you want to, you can save yourself about $4 or $5 if you want to order from there. But I was happy to support the local guy, spend those extra couple of bucks and get it a little bit more quickly for when I went away on my trip. And everything went well. Fridge is working great. The link to the video up there. You'll see me putting that compressor fridge into the caravan and the trials and tribulations that went with that. And I also cover off a few of the reasons as to why I went with a compressor fridge over the 3-way. Just wasn't happy with the 3-way. So with that in mind, this one's actually a 2-sensor setup, but it actually has 3 temperature sensors in it. There's one sensor in the main unit itself, which is the screen. Then it comes with 2 separate units, which can be placed in obviously various positions. I had one of these in the freezer and the other one was traveling around in the fridge itself. For future trips, what I'm probably going to do is put one of these in the car fridge and the other one will be in the fridge in the caravan. Now, what I have actually found is that this will read the sensors from within the car itself. So the sensors can be in the caravan, this can be up on my dash, and I can actually be monitoring the temps in the fridge whilst I'm traveling. So that's super helpful. The older unit did not do that. We're going to cover off how to set the alarms on this and how to use it effectively. Based on the feedback that I've seen on Amazon, some people have had some issues with setting the alarms and actually getting this to work. There's a little bit of a tip to that, and we'll cover that off in just a minute. This is the basic unit. Super handy. We'll jump in, I'll give you a quick look at it, we'll show you how to set those alarms. The sensors themselves have little hooks, so you can either stick them onto a screw on the back there, just like that, or they are a little clip. So you can clip that over one of your racks, but what I do is I just chuck it in like that and that's fine. Both of those are exactly the same. Batteries for the sensors themselves are AA, takes 2 of those, but the batteries for the screen are AAAs. So obviously the AAs are required for the sensors because they're the ones, again, doing the transmitting. This one just needs to power an LCD display, so you only need your 2 little AAAs for this. From the feedback that I've had a look on Amazon, suggests that these are fairly power hungry. You will go through your batteries reasonably quickly. Keep it in mind that batteries don't do very well in cold. They tend to suffer and their capacity doesn't tend to hold. So you're sticking these in the fridge or freezer, so that's going to impact on that. So get yourself a decent set of batteries, or what I do is when I'm at home and I'm not using the fridge, take the batteries out, stick them aside, and then throw them back in when I'm about to head away. On the back of the actual screen, you've got 3 mounting options. Got your little stand, just like that, if you want to stand it upright. 4 magnets on the back, so you can stick that to your fridge door if you so choose. And then there's one of those little screw holes, so you can just press and hook it on one of those single screws if you mount it that way. Again, I'm going to go with Velcro so I can put it in the caravan, in the car, and move it around. If you do buy 2 of these and you're thinking you're running these side by side, it's not going to work. The sensors will interfere. They are all operating on the same frequency, so you can't do that, unfortunately. Now, in relation to these and setting the alarms, and it is pretty straightforward, and I'll just quickly take you through that process. Each of these sensors have a button down the left hand side. Outdoor, sensor 1, sensor 2. So we want to make an adjustment to sensor 1. Literally just press and hold that button. And you see on the right hand side, your maximum setting will start to flash. I'll do that again, press and hold. This is your minus, this is your positive, so obviously we can adjust that as we see fit using those buttons. I've currently got that set to 6 degrees. I'll adjust it to 7 just to show you that this works. Press your sensor button again, you'll then be changed to the minimum setting. I've got it set at -5. I'll go for -6. Again, just to show that this is working. Just let that go and that'll return itself back to the normal status of reading the temperature. Or alternatively, if you're in that mode and you've finished doing your settings, just hit that button again and that'll take you back to the normal functionality. Now, what you need to do is just hit that button again, just so alarm is showing up. Now you can leave the alarm either on or off. Now that process is exactly the same for all of the sensors. So if you want to change sensor 2, press and hold, and obviously the indoor, outdoor, or wherever this sensor is sitting, you can change that one down the bottom there. Some people have had issues with the alarms not going off, and what I've actually found is it wants to be over your set maximum temp for a certain period of time. Now I've got a feeling that's around about 10 minutes. My experience was that I was traveling, fridge door had come open, and the alarms were going off. Through the course of this review, I was setting it up and wanting it to go off whilst I had this in camera. Unfortunately, it didn't do that. What I had a setting set up over here on the right hand side, and it took the sensors out of the fridge and allowed it to go over that temperature that I'd set as the maximum, and the alarm didn't go off. Got the pups headed inside to go and see what I could find out. But what I've actually found is that it needs to be over that temperature for about 10 minutes. I guess that's a feature of this, in that if you're opening the fridge door and your sensor's going up over that maximum temperature, you don't want it going off every time you open the door. So I guess it makes sense that it wants to be over your maximum temperature for a specific period of time. Once it reaches that period of time, and obviously it assumes that there's an error there, the alarm will sound. You may be playing around with it, trying to get it to work, and you can't get your alarms to go. If that's the case, set your alarm, put the sensor somewhere, and then just walk away and come back about 10 minutes later, and I think you'll find that those alarms are going off. So that's certainly what I found with this, and both of those alarms were coming back on when I returned. So that's it, guys. That's the little wireless 2-sensor setup that I've been using for the caravan most recently. Really like the fact that it provides you the minimum and maximum readings that you've had. So if you've had an issue in the van while you're traveling along, the fridge has gone up in temperature. Sometimes you may not notice. Say you've taken off, your fridge was at temp, you've been traveling, it's gone up, you've pulled up, you switched it over to gas, you've done whatever you need to do, you've hooked up the power, you've got the rest of the caravan. That might bring that fridge back down to temperature, and you haven't noticed that whilst you've been traveling, your fridge has been creeping up and possibly causing you some issues with the storage of your food. So real handy as far as the minimum and maximum. The ability to set a minimum and maximum alarm on this is great as well. More specifically, the upper temperature. I'm not real sure what you'd use the minimum for, but it's there as well. One of these will be going in the caravan, one of these will be going in the fridge in the back of the car. This will have Velcro on the back of it. Whilst I'm pulled up and I'm in the caravan, that'll allow me to monitor the temperature of the fridge in the car. When I'm traveling, I'll unvelcro this off the wall in the caravan, stick it on the car dash, and that'll allow me to monitor the fridge in the car and the one in the back of the caravan. Keeping in mind that not all of these will reach from the caravan to the car or vice versa. The other previous unit that I had didn't do that. And one of the other guys has got another unit again, and he can't read from the caravan to the car. But I have found that this one will and works fairly reliably. My incident with the fridge door opening and turfing my prawns all over the caravan, what I actually did was shut it all back up, obviously turfed the prawns out. I took this sensor and put it on the seat beside me in the car, and I was able to watch this and watch the temperature of the caravan fridge coming back down, just to ensure that there wasn't any issues and that it was coming back down to temp pretty quick. So it was real handy there. Now I don't know whether I'm going to call it an issue that the alarms don't go off when it hits that maximum temperature or minimum temperature. It takes some time. I understand that that's probably a feature that they've built in, possibly intentionally. I'm not real sure. But look, at the end of the day, after 10 minutes, if you've hit that temp and you're over that temp, then the alarm's definitely going to go off. So that's it, guys. So if you've got any questions, give me a shout, and if I can help you out, I sure will. So that's it, guys. Thanks very much for stopping by. We'll catch you on the next one.